Good morning, FAnews readers, and Lizelle van Merwe, CEO of the FIA, and Lelane Bezuidenhout, CEO of the FPI. We are living in interesting times, and I thought it was a good idea to have a conversation with both of you to talk to our readers, who are mostly your members, to see what the new normal is at the FPI and the FIA, and what the FPI and FIA have been doing for their members, and maybe how things will change in the near future. So I think first of all, Lizelle, we can start with you. What has the FIA done for members during this time?
Okay, so I think, Rionette, always thank you to you and the FAnews and my industry colleague Lelane from the FPI for the opportunity to talk about what our organizations have done. I think it really is always something for us when we can share, because, members, whilst, we communicate with members extensively, it's not always, widely shared. So we appreciate the opportunity. I think the first thing that we need to acknowledge is that the need for intermediary services and financial advice, we believe, remains critical.
Absolutely.
During the lockdown period. And product providers depend on the intermediary to fulfill the service delivery and the advice functions to customers. And I think that in itself gives a lot of, there is a big dependency on intermediaries during this time. So what we've done, a couple of highlights that we'd like to share with you guys today, is the regulations that were published on the 25th of March in response to the COVID pandemic, identified insurance services as part of the broader financial services as an essential service, but FIA members were seeking clarity from the FIA regarding what that meant. So what functions could I perform? What functions could I not perform? Did this include private security? There were a lot of concerns around, what that actually meant. So what the FIA did is we engaged with the FCA. We requested clarity on what services could be rendered by intermediaries. And the FCA issued a guidance note jointly with the Prudential Authority that was addressed to the FIA on the 25th of March, and that was sent to all members. And as we enter the level 4 lockdown now, we are waiting further guidance from the FCA regarding insurance services, but we can discuss that later if needs be. At the beginning of the lockdown, the FIA formed a COVID-19 business update for members, where we collate all COVID-19 business-related matters. And that comes from various sources where the FIA is engaged. So it comes via regulators, it comes via Business Unity South Africa, where we remember the World Federation of Insurance Intermediaries. There's a lot of discussions taking place, as you would know, regarding business interruption. The Public and Private Growth Initiative, where we've been very involved in terms of assessing the transmission risk within the intermediated space, and product providers in general. So we've been collating that, and we circulate that to members on every Monday morning. We've been very concerned about the premium relief initiatives that were being offered by intermediated product providers, many of whom did not consult with their brokers and financial advisors due to time pressure. So what the FIA did is, we engaged with the FCA in that regard, because by offering premium discounts and premium holidays, the intermediary would have lost millions in commission, which could have placed some intermediaries in a significant financial risk. So we approached the FCA, we obtained a commission exemption for both life and non-life. And this was shared with members, I think it was about 3 weeks ago, and there's been further updates since then. But the commission can be paid by insurers. The full commission can be paid by insurers at the discretion of the insurer, where premium relief is offered. I think what we've recently done in the last week is we published a circular, or the CMS has published a circular notifying medical schemes that they may consider applications for SMMEs to offer, let me rephrase that. The CMS published a circular notifying medical schemes that they may consider applications for SMMEs to defer contributions, medical aid contributions, for a period of 2 to 3 or about 2 months. And this may then also result in a deferment of commission. So the FIA has actually applied for a Section 8 exemption to allow for medical schemes to pay commissions where contributions are deferred, but the CMS have not yet ruled on that.
Okay.
And I think lastly, we've come a long way in explaining the value of the intermediary business. So effectively, our members employ more than 45,000 people, and what we are really advocating is that the intermediaries' contribution to the economy and the sustainability of the intermediary, or the intermediaries' contribution to the economy, is something that we must factor in when, you know, we come up with these kinds of discussions and proposals.
Right, I can make a comment a bit later. Thank you for that. I read a release from Consulta yesterday about overall customer experience. We will be using it as a newsletter, but it was very good to read that the intermediated insurers came out tops in terms of consumer experience by far. That was a fantastic piece of reading. Lelane, from the FPI side.
Yes, good morning. I think, first of all, it's this reality that we're stuck in at the moment. We went from middle March to saying, okay, maybe there's going to be a lockdown, let's start planning for it. And then there was, Cyril said, guys, we're going to go into lockdown for 2 weeks. But that was a very good time for the FPI to test our business contingency plans. So we locked down before we actually went into lockdown to make sure we could operate 100% remotely. And I want to publicly thank our IT team. They were brilliant. They still are sweating bullets, but they're doing great. And from the beginning, we've been giving updates to our members with regards to what's happening in COVID, all the relief that's available. And where I have to concur with Lizelle, FPI from our side has also been communicating with the FSCA, trying to understand from the regulator point of view, because we have the industry and then we have the financial planning profession. But the financial planning profession operates within the industry. So it's very important that we stay close to the South African regulator, Financial Sector Conduct Authority. And Caroline De Silva has been great in updating the FI as well in terms of what is regarded as essential services. And I must say the FSCA's heart is also to protect both consumer but also the financial advisor, to say really consider and think about the risk. Bear in mind there's no cure available yet, so when you go and see a client you have to understand these risks. So like I said, FSCA has been very good, close to us as well. And Lizelle, thank you very much. We've had open communication channels as well between Lizelle and myself, because the last thing you want is two industry bodies who's pulling in two different directions, because that will only confuse the financial advisors. So we've been staying very close to each other, and I appreciate it may be outside working hours, inside working hours, but she was always available. So thank you for that. Then just from the international point of view, FPI has been in meetings with the Financial Planning Standards Board in Denver in April as well. So it was all 27 bodies coming together to understand how does COVID impact the global financial planning profession. And sometimes we think our problems that we have is very unique within South Africa, but it's not. So all the way from the US to China to the UK, everybody's sitting with these issues. How do we help the financial advisor? So from the FPI side, there's a few things that we've done to help our members. First and foremost, we extended our membership renewal period, because we understand the focus in membership renewal is not going to be there now. So we've extended from the end of March all the way till the end of May. But we've also, before COVID, implemented quite a robust debit order system, so that members can make use of debit orders, so it's not that big lump sum going out. But we've also stayed very close to them with regards to COVID updates. From my desk, the executive's office, we've been sending out public updates as well since March, with regards to what's going on with COVID and understanding essential services. But we also have regional committee meetings where we meet in our regions. And we made available additional webinars. We've got a few coming up next week as well, and those webinars are for free to our members, just to understand the world that you're operating in at the moment. We also have, like I said, we have a membership community where our technical specialist on a daily basis is updating our members on all updates from all regulators, from the Council for Medical Schemes to the Financial Sector Conduct Authority, but then also on a global level in understanding what's going on. And she would go in, Cluhain, it's her birthday today, happy birthday. And she would go in and she would update and just translate some of the legislative language that's sometimes a bit heavy for individuals to understand. And I have to apologize. Dell at this point in time decides it's a good time to update my PC. But let's see if, there you go, I quickly got rid of it. But that's what we've been doing from our side through our net, is stay close to our members, but also stay close to other membership associations, not just FIA, but we've been staying very close to especially IMSA, the Institute for Risk Management, and we've joined a initiative with IMSA called Food Forward South Africa, where we assist to obtain donations for vulnerable people in South Africa. So all the donations that is made to Food Forward SA is tax deductible, and what the Food Forward SA does is they collect food from retail, and they distribute it then via the systems to needy families at this point in time. So FPI, together with the Institute for Risk Management, is very involved in social awareness campaigns and initiatives like that as well.
That's great. So we've moved to a level 4. Does that mean that
Yes.
advisors and brokers can go and see clients now? You mentioned critical services. Can you clarify that for us? Lelane?
Yeah, so when you read the regulation that came out the 29th of April, Dr. Lelane Bezuidenhout issued it, and in that it's quite a busy regulations to understand. And if you go through and you start reading the essential services, and you look at the financial and banking services section, which is H, and then it goes further to explain what the financial service and financial system in terms of the Financial Sector Regulation Act means. But it then also drills into definitions of the FAS Act. You have to start with, so the FSR Act is pertinently quoted in the regulations to say all the essential services to make sure that the financial system is running. So that's from medical schemes to insurers, to investments, to pension funds, to make sure that that can still optimally run. But there's a new section that came in to say that the professional services that supports these essential services can also operate now. So that means you can go to your workplace. But I want to send a very special message to the heads of the institutions. It's categorically, very clearly highlight for you that you as the head of the institution, there's a very big onus resting on you. So you have to make sure in terms, and I'm going to just highlight the high level sections for you to go in. And that's section 5 of the regulations. That's a whole list of stuff that needs to be ready before you go to your workplace, from protective gear to masks to registers that you need to have in your reception area, anybody and everybody that comes in, because that's for contact tracing should there be somebody that contracts the virus, all the way to you have to take people's temperature. So it's not like, yeah, I feel I'm invading your personal space. Sorry, you have to take the person's, and shouldn't be over a certain temperature. We all know as moms that a temperature that's high is anything from 36, 37 up. But I did read a story of a young gentleman, 25, from Cape Town, who took us through every day when he was sick with the virus, and he took his temperature every day. His temperature was 35, 36, which is normal. So, you know, it's very difficult to actually trace it. But then the head of the institution must then make sure that every staff member's got their own individualized hand sanitizer, that they all have their own masks. And this is just expenditures that you're going to have to actually take on and make sure everybody has it. And there was, and I initially thought when pre-lockdown, I took it a little bit far, because I said staff no longer, you wash your own dishes, you bring your own cups, don't mix everything. That has come out now as a guideline as well. How you clean everything in your office. So it's quite onerous for somebody to go back into level 4. I want to say it's almost easier for you to still remain in lockdown and work remote going into the office, because should you have not all these measures in place, then there's Annex E, which talks about the workplace plan that you have to have in place. And if you don't have that plan in place, you will be in trouble. You may potentially face a civil suit if you don't have it, because you are then negligent in not ensuring that you're protecting both your staff, but anybody also visiting your premises. So to circle back to your question, yes, you can operate from your workplaces, but where there's a little bit uncertainty, and this is where I've also chatted to Lizelle last week, is there's uncertainty at this point in time whether a financial advisor can actually go to the client's home, to their house, and actually have a face-to-face meeting with your client. So we are waiting. I followed up last night with the FSCA again, and I see Lizelle wants to add. Lizelle.
Yeah, so we've received an update yesterday, Lelane. So just to answer your question, Rianette, and I think what we're sharing with you is probably the first time we're really talking about it in the public.
Good.
Really, intermediaries will be allowed to operate as an essential service, because under level 5, they were not regarded as an essential service. There were certain functions that they were allowed to perform. Under level 4, they're going to allow for advisors now to do, and call centers to do inbound and outbound sales. However, they will not be allowed to meet with customers in their home environments, because they cannot actually monitor. They cannot monitor the health protocols that are implemented in those situations, but you can see customers in your place of office. You can see customers in their place of office. But to Lelane's point, which she has very well articulated, I think the risk is, if you are going to open up your office for business and you are failing standards that are required, there are significant risks that are associated to the CEOs of those companies. And the regulator yesterday, the reason for the delay is that, and Lelane, you will know from a regulatory perspective, you can probably be more articulate, but in terms of these revised regulations that came out under level 4, they have omitted to include, or they've excluded the authorities of the prudential and the financial sector conduct authorities. That's why they can't issue the directive as quickly as they did in the previous. So they're trying to get
I noted that.
Okay, they're trying to get that resolved so that they can issue the directive, so that they can give clarity to the industry. But I think, as we discussed yesterday with the FSCA, as Lelane said, CEOs can make that decision today. Yeah. But they're calling on staff to come forward and blow the whistle if you are not adhering to those health protocol standards. I think it's risky, and the regulator said yesterday again, wherever possible, please work remotely. We're encouraging remote. So if you can do it remotely, do it remotely.
Yeah, I think that is the safest. And being in this remote environment, I think the next obvious question would be is, what should brokers, advisors, intermediaries, planners, what should they focus on now? What should their focus areas be?
So Lelane, I mean, Rianette, if I can just comment on that. I think there's two things I'd like to say. I think the first is they have to focus on running a sustainable business. And running a sustainable business really starts with reassessing the environment in which we operate, because that has changed completely. Yeah. And to Lelane's point, globally, things have changed, but in South Africa, it's even more complicated because of the economic situation that we're in. So I think the first focus needs to really be on what is required for me as a business to run a sustainable organization. And that starts with really assessing, as I say, what the environment entails. And I think the second part of that is that millions of clients have been affected by what is going on. There is no better opportunity than the present for intermediaries to use their skill and expertise to support and assist clients to stay invested. So their focus needs to be on retention, and their focus needs to be on how they assist clients in managing their risks and their financial position. That's what I would say.
Yeah, from my side, Rianette, I do pick up the phone every now and then and I speak to the individual financial planner. to really understand, and I had a meeting with Kim Potgieter last night from Chartered Wealth to also just understand their world and how this has impacted them from in a financial planner and financial advisor world. And we have to bear in mind that we need to help the advisor to change their mindset, because this is nothing else than one massive mindset shift. So it's a mindset shift away from your sales-driven mindset to a value-added one. So how do you values and ethical behavior, still focus, like Lizelle said, on retention, because that's key at this point in time. But also you have to bear in mind that it's okay to be scared. Just as scared as you are as a financial advisor, considered about your own home budget, your own what's happening in your own life, so is your client. So at this point in time, my advice to the advisor and planner out there is stay in contact with your client. Contact them as regularly as you can, and please help them to understand, if I may touch on some of National Treasury's tax relief measures that's come out. You are going to have consumers and clients that's just going to phone the product providers and the administrators of these funds and just go on and select what they can without actually talking to a financial advisor. So it's very important that the consumer at this point in time do speak to a financial advisor, because they understand the markets. If I can quickly touch, Rianet, if you don't mind, on the linked life annuities, for instance, and where the advisor is so important. It's important to help your retiree understand that the markets, if you in a balanced fund, your market, because there's equities in it as well, the performance of your fund would have dropped anything between 10 to 15% by now. So to just go and increase your income that you draw from your annuity, and well done on Gareth's article yesterday, Rianet. It's quite risky to then withdraw a level that you can't actually afford at this point in time, but you need to balance what you can afford, what you need, and survival at this point in time. So the advisor, but what I also want to say is, advisors out there, please don't forget at this point in time the value of a record of advice. So I know a lot of advisors out there would say, oh, this compliance is draining. But remember, compliance is there to protect you, especially during a time like this. So when you do give advice to a client on, for instance, taking the debt relief from the banks, or having a premium holiday in one of your policies, or now increasing the drawdown percentage on your annuity, your advisor will take you through all the fees, all the risks. I mean, if you have debt relief, your amortization calculations means that your interest payment at the end of the term is increasing. So your client needs to understand that. So advisors, I want to call on you at this point in time, do not forget the practice standards, which is the 6 steps of financial planning. Make sure you have a strong relationship with your client. Gather the information that you need to gather, qualitative, quantitative. Understand where your client is emotionally at this point in time. Do analyze what you need to do. Develop the plan, implement it, but then monitor it with your client. And use your record of advice to show what options was given, and that you've disclosed to your clients the consequences of the decisions that you're taking together with your advisors. So now is the time ever that a financial advisor is extremely relevant. Who is the client going to remember when all of this is over? Because this too shall pass. They're going to remember you and say, but I remember that Lizelle, my financial advisor, phoned me to say, are you okay? How are you coping? So reach out to your client, make use of all technology, and remember the definition in the FACE Act says written communication. So anything from a WhatsApp to your notes to them in a virtual meeting to an email, written communication is very important at this point in time as well. So that is my advice to the individual out there, is embrace it. There is a silver lining to this called opportunity.
Thank you. That was very inspiring. I really enjoyed that. Key activities at the FPI and FIA's member meetings, events, conferences, surveys, results, get-togethers, networking. The way forward is obviously vastly different. I think, Lizelle, you can start, and maybe you can include the Intermediary Experience Awards survey, why that has been cancelled, and how you are dealing with events and member meetings going forward.
I'll just kick off with the intermediary, yeah.
Okay, Lizelle, quickly back. Can you carry on with what you said?
Yeah, so as I said, the FIA is 100% operational. Our meetings will be taking place virtually. I think the important message we would just like to give to the industry is that the Intermediary Experience Awards were debated extensively within the FIA structures, and we've decided not to continue with the awards for 2020, but we will be focusing our attention with our partners, and this was also we also consulted with our partners, but we'll basically be focusing on research to help develop the industry, and we'll be working with Ask Africa as well as our partners in that regard, but further details to follow.
Thank you, Lizelle. Lelane.
I know we're short on time, but I'm happy to elaborate at a later stage.
Okay, perfect.
But we just don't think that the intermediaries' experience of product providers are going to add any value right now to the prices that
yeah, that's true.
And that's basically what it's boiled down to.
I agree with you. Lelane, from your side and your conference coming up?
Sure, high level, just from the FPI side, we've taken everything virtual, but we were virtual before that. So additional webinars running at this point in time. We've got an interesting upcoming webinar where we say, going back to work, what now? What is your unlock strategy? So we have that. Just as our plan is to understand how to go back to normal, if we know what normal is going forward. And then our 2 face-to-face events that we've had, digitalized at this point in time. It's our retirement event and our investment event. And then from our conference point of view, it was going to be in June. We've moved it to the end of October, but the FPI is really observing what's happening on the risk strategy from government, which level we are in. But we did start with meetings. On our 3rd meeting with our digital partner, we should it not be able to happen face-to-face, it will then just be a digital conference, but the FPI conference will definitely still take place. And then just on regional event, this afternoon I'm joining the Western Cape, where we also have speakers coming in, understanding, helping the planners to understand their business practices at this point in time. So Western Cape FPI members jump into the call. We already have almost close to 150 people joining the meeting. So that's what we're doing. We have these regional meetings that our regional committees are driving. But like I said, we do bring in special speakers to help them understand their world, because it's new to all of us. And on a high level, that's what we're doing, Rianet.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate your time. I thoroughly enjoyed our conversation, and I know now more than ever what the value of the FPI and the FIA is. So thank you for everything that you also do for our readers, who's your members. Thank you very much for your time, and speak soon.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Lizelle. Thanks, Janet. Blessings.
Thank you.
Bye.
Stay safe.